Hello and welcome back to AEC Today Reports. We appreciate you joining us this evening. We're so excited to share with you information that can help you manage during this COVID-19 crisis. We're going to talk about some of the risks our organization, Allegheny East, is facing during this challenging time. We're also going to give you some tips on what you can do to keep your kids involved in ministry. We'll share with you how to remain a good steward during this time of crisis, and also some of the things our pastors and churches are doing to stay engaged and active with their community during this time. Please stay with us as we tackle all of these subjects on AEC Today Reports.
The Bible tells us in 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14, "If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray, and seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, and will forgive their sin, and will heal their land." If there were ever a time that we needed to come together in prayer, it is now. Therefore, our president, Elder Henry Fordham, is calling on you to join us as we band together in prayer. Pray corporately with us every day at 12 p.m., and in addition, 3 times a day. We believe that God will honor the faithfulness of His people as we band together in prayer. Please pray with us and watch God move.
Once again, we thank you for tuning in to AEC Today Reports. We have with us now a very special guest, Ms. Shauna K. Pottinger. She serves as our Risk Management Coordinator for Allegheny East Conference. Thank you for joining us, Shauna.
Thank you for having me, Latasha.
So, how are you in the family? You guys holding up okay?
Yeah, we're doing our best to navigate COVID-19. Certainly a crisis for my kids that I have to be homeschooling them, but we are trying to work our way through.
We completely understand. I can relate. So, I mentioned that you're our risk management coordinator, and, we're kind of in a situation where your skill set is really coming to the forefront here. So can you talk to us, for those who may not even know we have a risk management process in place, about how Allegheny East is tackling this crisis in terms of how we're identifying what our risks are and also managing them?
Oh, thank you for asking that. So the mission of the Allegheny East Conference Risk Management is to develop seamless processes that will ultimately result in the protection of both our people and our property. And so, as you can imagine, both of those things are being threatened right now because of COVID-19. The fact of the matter is, when you have a virus that's threatening the safety of your members, and also you have buildings and facilities that you have to close, you have to ensure that there is some kind of a system or a mechanism in place that is ensuring that these members are protected, and also that we are protecting our assets as we do so as well. And so that's our North Star, if you will. That's basically our mindset right now. We are focused on ensuring that members are safe during this time. One of the things that we do is that we've assembled an emergency response planning team. That team basically comprised of major stakeholders within the organization that are responsible for different units within the organization. And so they will bring their own unique challenges and concerns to the table for us to sort of identify and derive strategies that will help to put us in the best possible position as we face or confront this challenge. One particular thing that we try to do, especially as it relates to COVID-19, is that we stay on top of communication so that our members, our pastors, our employees, that they are aware of where Allegheny East Conference stands, what our guidelines are during this crisis. And that has helped to a significant degree because we have people who, we have educators, we have students, we have parents. We have a number of stakeholders who are looking to us for the guidelines and the leadership that they need in order to determine where do I go and what do we do. And so AEC risk management is right there in the central piece, trying to make sure that all of those elements are being are working together in a seamless way, right? One of the things that we can identify and acknowledge is that every single crisis comes with its own unique challenges. And that's why it's important to have agility, it's important to have flexibility when you're dealing with these kinds of situations.
Absolutely. And I think it's important for people to know that even the AEC response that we have posted on our website and that we update weekly um, came about as a result of this emergency response team kind of documenting some of the things we want to make sure our churches know. So if you're not familiar with that, that document is on our website for everyone to view, those who are watching. And what about, for some of our pastors, this is the first time that they're navigating something like this, virtual services and having to shut down the church. Can you tell us about some resources that your department is providing for our pastors?
Yeah, I'm so excited because we just recently worked on an emergency response planning guide that will basically serve as a toolbox for our pastors. Really, we want them to have in their hands something to help them as they go through this crisis, that they can look to this document for some of the basic things or basic strategies that they can use during this time to ensure that those key services that we offer in our ministries, that we continue to do so even within the confines and context of the restrictions and guidelines that the CDC has handed down. We want them to have something in their hands. So on this Friday, we're excited to announce that we will be launching this guide. We'll send it out to the pastors. And on next week, Monday, we will be having a webinar where we basically help them to go through the document. I'm excited because it is a team initiative that they will have to enact through the with the guide. And what this will allow them to do is to articulate in a very intricate way what are the key services that my ministry provide to my community, and how has this disruption impacted my ability to continue to provide this service. That will basically help them to be able to derive new response strategies in this moment that will help them to navigate those challenges and continue to carry out their divine mandate. And so we're very excited about that document, and we're looking forward to our pastors having that as a resource that they can use to help them to get through COVID-19 and also to deal with the ripple effects that COVID-19 presents after this situation has died down just a little bit.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's a great document, a great guide for our pastors. Lastly, I wanted to talk to you about volunteers. We know that there's still churches who are providing services, whether it's through their food pantries or other community service. What is our responsibility there in terms of minimizing risk?
So, as you know, when this whole thing started, and because we consider our member city to be the most important element of, our planning, everything that we do is centered around that. We did decide that we were going to close all our physical buildings and facilities, right? But we cannot negate the fact that yes, there is danger in having people coming together to volunteer and so on, but we also want to capitalize on the wonderful opportunities that we have to increase our visibility and impact as a church on the community. Because we know that during this crisis, one of the greatest opportunities that we have right now is to minister to the needs of our members. And so we are trying to balance being able to be there with ensuring the safety of our volunteers. And so there's some stipulations and guidelines that went out recently. And we want our volunteers to know that if you are going to be involved in ministry activities, that you do so within the confines of what the CDC recommendations are as it relates to protecting yourselves, wearing those proper gears like gloves and ensuring that you have the sanitization equipment and supplies that you can use to ensure your own safety, but also the safety of those who are coming into the church or coming to the church to receive those food supplies. And so there's a range of guidelines. They're on the conference website. We encourage our ACS, which is Adventist Community Service, volunteers or other volunteers that are looking to participate in these initiatives to go on there and make sure that you adhere to these safety guidelines, because your safety is indeed a priority for us.
Absolutely, and thank you for sharing that. I know one of the things the document points out is that if you have minors who are volunteering, they are required to do that with a parent or a guardian. They're not allowed to volunteer, on their own, drop them off and keep going. So thank you, Sean and Kay. I appreciate all the information that you shared and all that you're doing to help us manage risk as a conference and minimize the negative repercussions that something like this crisis can bring us. So thank you, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been my pleasure. Take care.
Yes. And we ask that you please stay tuned. We have a short commercial and we'll be right back. Thanks for tuning in to AEC Today Reports. We're speaking with our youth director, Pastor Patrick Graham. How are you doing today?
Hey, doing fine. Amidst all that's going on, we're good.
Okay. So, we've had a lot of talk about children being out of school and the different transitions they have to make. But a lot of parents are concerned about their children spiritually, and since they're not able to be involved in children's church and things that they're used to. What are some tips you can give to parents who want to keep their kids engaged in ministry or continuing to grow spiritually when they're not able to attend things like Sabbath school at this time?
Well, there's resources that we're putting out, and resources that they've always had, but we want to put it right directly in their hands. So we want them to go directly to our website where it'll all be there. I know we don't want to overload the kids because they're going a couple of hours, 6-7 hours straight sometimes on their distance learning. So take the time, especially during worship time, maybe like a 7:30 or 8 o'clock time or a wind down time, to be able to go to the resources and keep them spiritually involved, even with spiritual movies. There's some of them that's out there for 15 minutes or a half an hour. It'll be a great advantage to keep them connected that way.
Yeah, I know a lot of parents are even letting their children be in charge of worship so that they could, continue to develop them as spiritual leaders.
I like that. I'm going to steal that one from you. I didn't have that. Okay, good. To be in charge of worship.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I mentioned Sabbath school, but there's also Adventurers and Pathfinders that our children are used to attending. How do those clubs stay vibrant during a time like this?
Yeah, you have some clubs who operate twice a month, and some that operate 4 times. And what's going on now, you're going to see a big explosion of it next week, where you'll find that their classes are going to be on Zoom. Their friend companion classes are going to be on Zoom. That's for Pathfinders. Adventures will be also the same, but we're asking for all of the parents to get in contact with their directors after this, so that it'll go both ways, from them getting in contact with the kids and the parents getting in contact with the leaders, because we have a plethora of resources, especially for our adventurers to keep up to speed. We're also offering honor classes and awards for them to get patches. So we want to keep that going. We're going to keep that going. That should start maybe late next week also. So even if they can't meet together, they have assignments that be done, and short assignments that it's not looking like school. One of those.
Yeah. I know they don't want any more of that.
Nah.
So it's not going to impact them moving to the next class or the next level. They can still complete the work to move on.
Oh no, we're even planning an investiture that was already scheduled online. I know we like the the pomp and circumstance of pinning and all of that, and we could do that after. But we want our children to know that they could reach other levels even during this COVID-19 situation we're going through. So we have plans to keep them connected all the way through.
All right. And another question, I know my children, my girls have been talking about this and wondering is it going to happen? What's the status of Camp Davis for this summer?
Boy, if I get one more call on Camp Danny Davis, it's like people want Camp Danny Davis to go on either way. We are planning day by day. It changes, and you know this. It changes every single day, but the plan is still there to have Camp Danny Davis. We are depending on God to have this thing cleared up as soon as possible. And if it does clear up on the will of God, then we're going to have to hunker down because everybody's going to want to go to Camp Danny Davis. Yes. We do have other plans also in case. And even if it does happen at Camp Danny Davis, we're planning on having different sites. Satellite sites in the different areas, but those will be day camps and not sleepover camps in the different areas. So we're still planning. It's changing every day, but we do have plans on continuing until that day comes when we decide that we're going to have to scrap it all together.
Okay, so the kids still have a little hope that even though everything else has been canceled during their school year, Camp Davis may still be there at the end of it all. Okay, so we'll pray that happens.
Sure.
All right, well, we thank you for what you shared with us about youth ministry, and we hope that you and your family are being safe.
Awesome. We're trying. You too.
And please stay tuned as we take a brief break.
As the nation's doctor, I often get asked, what should I do if I think I might have coronavirus?
People who are sick should stay home. You don't go to an emergency room. You don't go to a clinic. You get on the phone and you ask for advice and instructions from your physician.
We don't want you to go into the ER or the doctor's office without talking to them first because you might spread coronavirus to someone else. Please visit coronavirus.gov for more information.
Thank you for staying tuned to AEC Today Reports. We're happy to have with us our Stewardship Director, Dr. Marcellus Robinson. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you, Latasha. How are you doing?
Pretty good, hanging in there, doing my part, stay safe. So I mentioned that you're our Stewardship as well as Philanthropy and Plan Giving Director. But, we're in a crisis right now. Can you share with us how we can still be good stewards, even though we're in a crisis situation?
As stewards, we're partners with God. He's the owner of every good thing. And right now, most of us in our states, we're in lockdown, which is a good thing in hindsight. I know for my children, I call them every other day to see how they're doing, making sure they're all right, locked down together as a family, and so far, so good. So when I think about the 8 dimensions of stewardship that we emphasize in Allegheny East, there are 2 in particular that jump out to me during this time of crisis, or 3: trust, time, and together. Trust in the Lord, spend time with Him, spend time with each other, and then work together. And I believe that if we emphasize those 3, we'll come out ahead in this virus epidemic. We'll become closer family members. I'll be a better steward with God, and trust factor should go up during this crisis hour because I heard one lady testify this on virtual worship last week that in lifting the offering that she was her time was cut back, which affects the money she received, yet she was lifting offering, testifying about the fact that God is still to be trusted. So she's returning to Him 1/10 of His time and a liberal offering. And I thought that was tremendous in that trust factor. But I'm thinking for families, this is a good time. They say for parents and children, time equals love.
Yep.
And so time spent together, this is a great time for families to spend time together and worship together and play together and learn together. So I would just encourage our constituents to do that.
All right. Time, together, and what was the third one?
Trust.
Trust. Can't forget trust. All right, great tips. So are there any resources, whether it's for stewardship leaders or individuals during this time that will be helpful?
Yes, I can recommend two right off the bat. In fact, three. Um, Stewardship related, it would be nadstewardship.org, and that's North American Stewardship Ministries website. And families will find that there are items on that relate to them as personal stewards, and then they have resources on there for children as well as for youth. For stewardship directors, there are videos on there. I am a steward that they might want to utilize in playing for the lifting of offering in their virtual church service. The other website would be stewardship.adventist.org, and that is the GC stewardship website. And there are two resources on there in particular. The one is Putting God First, which talks about putting God first in your devotions, and then developing good worship habits, good health habits, and then it talks about being missionaries. We're not to be selfish with what we get from God. We're to share it with others. In fact, one elder from a church called me Sabbath and told me the blessing from this virus that he has a Zoom conference for Bible study. At the church, it was about 12 people. Now that he's gone Zoom, there's 30 to 40 people.
Wow, look at that.
Bible study. So we can utilize this time to reach out to people and lead them into closer walk with God. In fact, Jesus said in crisis time, keep watch and pray. Keep your eyes on Jesus and pray for yourself and pray for others. And if we use those themes and utilize these resources that are available to us, I think we'll be better off in the long run.
I totally agree. And just so everyone knows, all the links that Dr. Robinson mentioned can also be found on our website, visit AEC.org, on our stewardship page. Thank you so much, Dr. Robinson, for reminding us that we still have an obligation to be a steward, even though a crisis is happening, and giving us tips on how we can continue to do so. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, and please stay tuned as we take a short break.
Hey everybody, my name is Pat Graham. I am your Children and Youth Ministries leader, and what I'd like you to do today is to join us in our Children's Ministries Challenge. This is from 9 years old and to 0 if they can do it. But what we'd like you to do is to sing the song, I may never march in the infantry, ride on the cavalry, shoot the artillery. You know that song already, and I want your children to sing it. I want us to put it up on social media, showing our children that they're in God's army. Hashtag, I want you to hashtag now AECYCM Army. Share it with everyone. And remember, we're going to make it through this thing together. God bless you. Real good.
Thank you for staying tuned to AEC Today Reports. Right now, we have a special guest, one of our own pastors, Pastor Errol Stoddard. How are you doing today?
Doing fantastic. Got my workout this morning.
All right. Yeah. And we're here to talk about that. A lot of us are finding different ways to manage during this crisis and stay healthy. And so, Pastor Stoddard, I noticed that you've been going live on Facebook every morning with a workout. What was your inspiration for doing that? What was behind that?
Well, the thing that struck me was gyms are closed. You can't go to any gym. So we belong to two gyms, and they're both locked down. Because of the shelter-in-place order issued by Governor Murphy. And I thought to myself, what are we going to do? And with all the other people who are, number one, home, and number two, used to go to the gym but can't go now. Right. So kids are home, parents are home, can't go to work, can't go to the gym. And my fear was, oh, Lord. And if we don't do anything, we're going to gain a pound a day.
That's right. It's true. It's so
30
true.
days, it's 30 pounds.
Can add up quickly, that's for sure.
And I saw so many people talking about, the cooking they were doing and the experiments they were doing with different foods. I said to myself, my Lord, we got to find a way to stay in shape.
Right.
Lord just gave me this inspiration to, I have a miniature gym downstairs in my home. So when I don't go to the gym and I don't have time to run to the gym, I can, I have enough weights down here. I have a, bench. I have a Bowflex, walking stepper. So
Okay.
myself, well, if I can't do anything else, I can work out in my own home, and I can join the folks who want to work out.
There you go. That's and
code, or they're afraid to go out or whatever. So we said, let's set it up and let's go. So here we are.
So have you found that you've gotten feedback from others that is motivating them to stay active as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. The average viewership we get right now is like 200. So
Great.
I mean, when Facebook counts it all up, it's
right.
Like who are working out. We get a lot of people who are giving input. A lot of people who said, I'm feeling stronger, or I lost a couple of pounds, or this feels so good, or thank you, Pastor and Sister Stoddard. The thing is, every morning at 8:40 or so, I do a little devotional, and I invite you back for 9:00. So maybe like 7-10 minutes of devotional. And this morning we talked a little bit about, getting your house in order. Isaiah told Hezekiah, get your house in order. So I talked about getting your house in order spiritually, getting your house in order physically, house in order financially, in terms of your will, your trust, seeing a lawyer, getting your paperwork together, knowing what you want for your life and for your family. So I talked about that, and then I invite people back for the 9:00 workout, and I tell them, get your cans, get your weights, or whatever. So it's work out with the word, actually, because what we do during the workout, we pray, we give a little devotional at the top, in the middle somewhere, and at the end. So we pray and we work out together. So it's work out with the word. So
I love that.
Kind of nice little twist,
nice little blend.
As opposed to just working out, we keep the word in the midst of it, and we cover families in prayer, and our healthcare workers, and so on and so forth. So it's a great little fun little gig.
I love it. And people want to join you. You don't mind if people add some new friends who want to join you live in the morning, do you?
Listen, we want everybody who wants to. If you just have a little crazy in you, because I got a little crazy.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you can join them on Facebook.
Workout, a safe space. We play gospel music to the workout. If you just want a nice little fun space to work out, absolutely, this is the spot to be. And we trust and pray by God's grace that you will have a good time. And safety is a big deal for me, because I don't want anybody to get injured. And so I tell people, yes, I want you to understand you should consult a physician before working out. I'm not an expert. I'm not trained to do this.
Right.
But I work out just about every day, and I'm inviting you to join me.
Right.
A couple of years back, I found out my blood pressure wasn't where it used to be. And, this is a big deal for me, staying in shape, keeping my stomach, around 30. I've been working on pack. I got 4-pack right now.
You're almost there. We love it. Also, I wanted to talk to you. I noticed that your Church of the Oranges, is also still actively involved in engaging the community, still doing some of those service projects. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, we know that as it stands, our church serves 150 or so families every week. We get 2 truckloads of groceries from the food bank on a typical week. And, families are still hungry. They are still in need. They still look to us. They still rely on us. And the other food bank in our town closed down because most of the volunteers there were seniors, and it was more of an enclosed area. Right now, when you go to Costco or when you go to the supermarket or whatever, you literally, Trader Joe's, you have to stand in a line outside.
Oh.
So, and you have to be, social distance, minimal away from the other person before or behind you. So we're practicing that where we are. Is we say to people, listen, for our staff or volunteers who are serving the community, for the people who are coming to get food and who need food, who need supplies, who still can't, and more so now, can't afford to go to the supermarket. And A couple of weeks back or last week, we heard 3.5 million people thereabouts lost their jobs.
That's a lot.
That is frightening.
Mm-hmm.
And so we say to our community, to our township, to our members, we are here to serve you. We had a meeting with the mayor, police department, fire department, and in our meeting, we actually practiced social distancing. Several of the ministers from our township were there, and the township has made it very clear that because of the restrictions in travel, people have to have a pass. If you are an essential worker, you have to have some kind. So the police department has provided us and our volunteers with a letter that says we are authorized to be in the service of the Lord, to help our community. So, that's important because if we shut down, there will be hungry people. That's a fact.
Yeah.
So we're standing in the gap to give a helping hand to the best of our ability while trying to remain safe ourselves. What we need to ensure our protection, we need some the N95, I think it's the N95 mask. We need some of those.
Okay.
Gosh,
so we'll put it out there.
So if you got some at the conference office.
I don't know if we have any there, but let's put it out to the people. If you know where they can get some, contact us.
FedEx it to me. All right. 270 Reynolds Terrace, Orange, New Jersey, 07050. 07050. FedEx me some N95 masks for our community service workers. We've told the seniors who work with us that they don't have to come. And we've invited some of our younger folks to volunteer. And we're getting good support thus far, and we continue to send the word out, as we serve, because
awesome. Hey,
service still is necessary in a time like this. And as churches, all of us, I talked about balancing courage with caution.
Very important.
Be cautious, but at the same time, think about all the workers in the hospital. We have several members of our church who are in hospitals. They're working in hospitals. They have to go. And so how do we balance courage with caution without being cowards?
A lot of C words there.
A lot of C words. God is not, we have to look for that right balance. Exactly. Be wise as a serpent, harmless as doves. But know that in times like these, there are people who have needs. And I was so inspired recently when I saw a plane load of medical professionals coming from another state to New York. The governor of New York sent out a call that we need help. And 40,000 people who are in the medical profession in other states and those who are retired responded to the governor's call and said, yes, we are willing to serve. Yes, we're willing to, in a way, in a real sense, put our lives on the line to help somebody else. And I say kudos to all of those in the medical professional who work in the hospital. And I don't just talk about the doctors and the nurses, but the respiratory therapists and the people who are in the cafeteria and the people, the custodial services, the engineers who keep the hospital running. Kudos to everybody, because everybody is vulnerable. And we thank God for your spirit of sacrifice and service to help those who are less fortunate and who are facing the ravages of COVID-19. God bless you all.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, Pastor Starter. We thank you for what you're doing personally to inspire everyone, as well as what your church family is doing. Thank you for being on the front lines, keeping us healthy and keeping the community fed and providing real needs. We thank you. You're a model of what we all should be doing during this time of crisis. Thanks for joining us. Give your family our regards and continue to stay safe.
Amen. Amen. Same to you. And hey, listen, folks, keep the hand sanitizer with you.
That's
Wherever
right.
you go. God bless you.
All right, thank you. And please stay tuned for this brief break.
The Bible tells us in 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14, "If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray, and seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, and will forgive their sin, and will heal their land." If there were ever a time that we needed to come together in prayer, it is now. Therefore, our president, Elder Henry Fordham, is calling on you to join us as we band together in prayer. Pray corporately with us every day at 12 p.m., and in addition, 3 times a day. We believe that God will honor the faithfulness of His people as we band together in prayer. Please pray with us and watch God move.
All right, we thank you for watching this episode of AEC Today Reports. We thank all of our guests for what they had to share with us. And we know the weekend is coming. We hope you're checking our website for all of our streaming services, our churches that are streaming. And we'll be sharing more of them on Facebook. So stay connected to us even over the weekend. And we'll see you next Tuesday at 7 p.m. After all, the more you watch, the more you know. We'll see you next time.